Hello. Today I'm going to talk about the current job market in the field of finance. So in 2024, as you may know, right, we do not have the best economic environment. There's so many geopolitical uncertainties at the moment. We are just out of a pandemic, one of the biggest pandemic in the last 100 years. And then the war started in Ukraine, and then the cost of living crisis started in Europe, but also in rest of the world. Inflation is sky high, interest rates are still quite high. Yeah, we haven't seen rate cuts from Fed yet. We have seen only one rate cut from ECB, the European Commission Banking. But many central banks are still keeping the rates very high. So given these uncertainties, given uncertainty around these many things, the economic environment is actually quite bad in most parts of the world. Although we are not in recession in many countries, but we do have a very bad economic environment where the inflation is quite high, and yet we're not in recession, and we are still struggling about how the future will be in a few years time. So it's more of a stagflation type of scenario, and it's quite tough actually in for the job market, certainly for some areas. Things are also a bit contradictory. On one hand you see the stock price of the tech companies going up, and these companies are firing people quite in number. So that's very contrasting, right? That shouldn't happen in an ideal time, but that's actually happening. We have disruptions happening from AI. So a lot of things are going on. So I'm going to talk about how things are in the field of finance, right? Well, let me at the outset let me tell you that the field of finance is not as affected as maybe some other fields are. For instance, the tech as a field is quite badly affected at the moment. Whether it's product companies or service company, both tech companies are quite badly affected in this kind of economic environment. Banks are not as badly affected as the tech companies are, but they are obviously not in the best environment either. Although high interest environment is actually helping the bank, there's a lot of interest income, but there are other challenges in banking sector. We saw a bit of a banking crisis last year in 2023, the first quarter of 2023. But then I was thinking that there will be a spillover, and then other banks will also get affected of that. Credit Suisse went bankrupt. There was also a couple of small banks in the US that went bankrupt, but it didn't become a very big crisis. Actually, I was expecting that to happen, but that didn't happen. And because of that, I think the banking world is actually still quite robust in a relative sense. And I think also a lot of the precautions taken over the last 1.5 decade post financial crisis of 2008 has really helped the banking world. So the job market in the banking world, the financial world, actually is much better compared to what I've seen in the tech sector, right? By the way, I'm not referring to any survey in the job market. I'm just telling you this based on my conversation with friends and colleagues in this industry, but I also keep in touch with some people in the hiring industry, and that's what I've heard. So that's exactly what I'm sharing with you. Take it with a grain of salt. I may not be 100% correct, so you need to verify yourself as to what exactly is the situation. But yes, I can give some cues, being from the industry. All right, so it's a tough job market. Some sectors are very badly affected. Service industry in particular is very badly affected. Finance is not that badly affected, even though it's still in the it's part of the service industry. But for example, some sectors are doing well. Manufacturing is doing well in many countries, so I think that's. But then yeah, not many people move from manufacturing to finance, right? But many people do move from tech to finance, or from finance to tech, right? So that does happen. um, One other thing I have seen is that, when I compare with the number of jobs in the experience category and in the fresher category, and when I say fresher, it's like less than 3 years of experience. I'm not talking just, the ones right out of university, or just out of university, but the ones even with, less than 3 years of experience. I think the time is really really bad. It's very unfortunate. I've seen that happening actually quite a few times for the last 1.5 decade that I have been in the industry. In 2008-9 that happened. In 2011 and 12 it also happened. I think it also happened 2020 during the crisis. So during the corona crisis. So it's again happening. It's very sorry to even see this again, that the freshers are actually getting affected. Experienced professionals are not that affected. There's still quite a demand for highly experienced people in this industry. So if you have good experience in any of these areas in the field of finance, you will still be able to find good opportunities. That's something I have seen. I fail to understand as to why that's happening. On one hand, the freshers are cheaper to hire, less expensive compared to the experienced one. So in bad times, you expect freshers to be more in demand, but that's not happening. It's probably because nobody has time to train people. I think that training cost is actually also quite significant, maybe, or maybe there are other reasons. I don't understand why, but yeah, it's not the best time to be a fresher. Okay. I see that technical jobs are more in demand. As in, if you are a skilled professional in the field of finance, you are more technically qualified. As in, you have experience either in any of the technical areas, whether it's quantitative finance, whether it's risk management, compliance, or even software engineering, data science, data engineering, audit. So you are more of a content guy. As in, you are subject matter expert, right? You are not a generalist, right, who just does project management, that kind of thing. If you have very specialized skills in one of or more than one areas in the field of finance, then you're in demand. So I see that specialists are in demand, generalists are less in demand. It's also true in the field of tech as well. I've seen that there's still quite demand for highly specialized software engineers, but not so much demand for product managers, project managers, business analysts, and so on. So I think I don't understand as to why that has happened, but I think things might even be different, maybe in couple of months, couple of quarters. But that's as of now, that's the situation, right? So hone your skills, hone your technical skills. Make sure that you are a specialist in at least one area. If you are a specialist in more than one area, that's even better. So that's one thing. So what are the in-demand skill in this kind of an economic environment? What I see is that in the field of finance, what's important is that you first of all you either bring more business or you reduce cost, right? So that's the two most important things in any field, but certainly in the field of finance. If you are an investment banker, a credit officer, front office guy, right, you'll always be in demand because you will bring more money, right? But in a bad economic environment, right, not many people are interested in money, not many, especially in the lending case, because of the high interest rate. So those jobs are very affected. But let me tell you that the back office and middle office jobs, in the risk side, on the modeling side, quant side, which are more back office or middle office jobs, there's still quite demand because these are more regulatory driven, and regulators won't wait for economic environment to be better for some of these regulatory requirements to be met. So so banks have to really hire people to get things done on the regulatory side, on the compliance side, risk side, audit side. So there are quite some demand, still quite some demand in risk and compliance and modeling areas. I also see demand for data people, I've seen that the demand for tech people, as in the programmers in banks, has actually also come down. It used to be actually quite high, but it's still. I mean, it's not a bad career either. But I think because of the Gen AI, I think the demand has come down, and also because a lot of the tech jobs are not regulatory connected. So sometimes regulation also prevent some of those disruptions to happen. That's something I've seen in many areas of finance, but tech is not that area actually. Unfortunately, tech is getting impacted in almost all fields, certainly in the field of finance. Okay, that's something I wanted to share, but it also depends where you are, right? I see in Indian market, right, there is still quite demand for professionals, but you see that in the US it's a bit worse actually, right? I see that in traditional finance things are still okay, but in areas like fintechs and all, the situation is actually quite bad, still quite bad, right? On the lending side, in the traditional banks, still quite good. Fintechs not that great, but in the trading and asset management sides, again, we are in a bull market, right, in almost all countries. So there's quite some hiring still happening. But then these companies don't create many finance jobs, right? Unlike the banks and the fintechs, right? So that's something to also know. So what to do in such a scenario? First of all, you have to be patient, right? It's not just you who is getting impacted. There are many who were getting impacted because of the slowdown, right? I graduated during the Lehman Brothers crisis, the financial crisis of 2008. Imagine the time to graduate, right? It's one of the worst time to get out of university, but that was such a horrible time. People were losing jobs, and that's exactly when I graduated, and it wasn't a great time to be in the job market. But things improved in about 2 years time. I think by 2010 things improved a lot, and I think yeah. So I don't know how much time one has to wait this time around, but I see in about couple of months, maybe quarters, things will improve once there is a rate cut from the Fed and also from other central banks in the world. I think I see things to be improving a bit, but there are geopolitical uncertainties still prevailing, and nobody knows actually how things will be in 6 months or 1 year time. So be prepared. Make sure that you are learning enough. You are doing internship. You have at least some financial backing to support yourself. But if you have already a job, I think it's good to to feel happy about it, but also have that you should be thankful that at least you have the job. All right. If you have any questions, as always, let me know in the comment section. I will try to post videos more regularly from here on. Sorry, actually, I could not post any videos in the last 1 month. All right. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.